Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. I'm your host Tom Dunn, and today we are doing another episode of Citizens Forum. And with me today is City Manager Rod Butler. Welcome, Rod.
Hello, Tom.
Rod is on all of these shows, and the idea is to discuss issues that the citizens of Port Hueneme bring to our attention, and we try to find a solution or an answer for you. And today with us, we also have Robert Bomber, and Robert is head of the Hueneme Foundation, and he's going to explain to us what that is. And all of this has to do with, most of you know, in the last 2 weeks we've had what has been called the smelly air in Port Hueneme, part 1, 2, 3, and whatever. So what we're trying to do, and I said we would do this, is to start getting some heads up, some advice, and some expert decisions, not decisions, but what's going on in this situation as far as we can tell. So, Robert, if you would tell us what the Hueneme Foundation is about and how it started.
The Hueneme Foundation is a 501c that was started about a year and a half ago. It has a primary mission, and that is to fix the Oxnard wastewater treatment facility. As you know, we have what could be classified as noxious odors that frequently hover over our quaint little city. But what a lot of people don't realize is the state of the facility. It's failed, and our stated mission is actually to find a solution and to find funding and help the city of Oxnard replace it with new technology. So pretty simple, straightforward foundation. We've had some success so far. We're working with Stanford University, UCLA, and Channel Islands to come up with a solution very much like what's in Stockholm, which is a plant that processes 300 million gallons of sewage a day and turns it into potable water and USDA classified Class A sludge that can go on the field. So we're looking at a solution that doesn't just get rid of the smell, but also produces quality of life things. So with that, give it back to Tom.
And of course, with the drought conditions that we've been under for 3 or 4 years, and it may go on for another couple, finding water supplies is at the top of the priority of local and county and state governments. And the amount of water is a fight between agriculture and the citizens. And the plant type you're talking about does provide very high-grade water that can be used out in the farmlands, which currently, because it's not high quality enough, goes out into the ocean. Is that correct?
Some of it does. There is an advanced water treatment facility where some of the water is sent to, and it waters some of the agricultural land and some of the golf courses locally. However, that said, the rest of the water could be reclaimed. It is potable, but we understand people don't like the concept of drinking from a sewage treatment plant.
Right.
So it could be used, repurposed for saltwater incursion issues, which would help the agricultural thing, or be actually pumped into the aquifers for further purification and then withdrawal for drinking purposes. So it meets with all of Governor Brown's standards on his AB 289, which is pretty strict on water usage, and this would actually make us almost self-sufficient. So it closes the loop on drinking water completely.
This is a very intricate network, let me call it, of organizations and cities and whatever. The waste treatment plant covers Oxnard, it covers Port Hueneme, it covers parts of Camarillo,
Right.
It covers Point Mugu Naval Base, it covers the Ventura County Naval Base, and it also handles the Port of Hueneme, all the sewage from all of those places. And I think that alone would create fear in your mind if something went wrong with the waste treatment. And Rod, could you talk a little bit about the relationship between Port Hueneme and the Oxnard wastewater plant, how that works between the two cities.
Sure. So, as Tom mentioned, uh, we it's really a regional plant. It's owned and operated by the city of Oxnard, but entities other than the city of Oxnard contribute to the flow that goes to the plant, including the city of Fort Hueneme. So the challenge of some of the situation is we are a customer of the Oxnard wastewater treatment plant. We have a contract with the city of Oxnard to to receive and to treat the wastewater flows that go to that facility. And we pay for that service, much like you would any other kind of a private vendor that you have doing services around your house. So it's tricky in a lot of ways because we don't have an ownership interest in the plant. We are a customer of the Oxnard wastewater treatment plant. Now, we try through our relationships with the city of Oxnard to have as much influence as we can, and we'll continue to be working on that, to contribute what we can to the long-term needs of the plant, including, at some point, our residents, the customers of the city of Fort Hueneme, will probably have to pay a fair share of whatever ends up being the long-term fix of that plant, and that would be through wastewater rates. But we can't, we're a fairly small player in the overall picture in the sense that the customer base in Port Hueneme is very small compared to the customer base in the city of Oxnard. We do, just to clarify, we own and operate the collection system in the city of Port Hueneme. So, when you flush something in Port Hueneme, that's going into a pipe system that the city of Port Hueneme owns and maintains. But once it leaves Port Hueneme and gets over to the treatment plant, it then becomes the responsibility of the city of Oxnard. So we're a customer of the wastewater treatment plant, but we all are very dependent on the long-term health of that facility, which is why we're excited to have a Port Hueneme resident taking the charge, at least from the private sector standpoint, to get this thing fixed for the long term. Because, again, even though we're kind of a small player among the folks responsible for that plant, we don't have a lot of other good options. We can't just pull out and go to some other plant. There isn't one. And to do our own thing would be a tens of millions of dollars type of a solution. So we're very much we have a big stake in what goes on there, but ultimately we've got to kind of prevail upon the powers that be in Oxnard, since it really is their facility.
I think I remember about a year ago that there was an increase in what the city paid to Oxnard. Is that correct? From a fairly small amount to a larger amount? Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, so we do have a contract with them for their treatment services. Over the years, they have increased their rates to us, and then we normally pass that along to our customers on your every other month water, wastewater, trash bill. Part of that bill that you're paying is to pay for the wastewater collection system that the city of Fort Hueneme owns and maintains, but then also the treatment services cost for the wastewater that goes to the Oxnard plant. And yes, we did pass along one of those increases probably 2 or 3 years ago, I think was the most recent.
Somewhere in there. I heard it went from like $8,000 a year, which could be totally wrong, up to $80,000 a year. How much are we paying the sewage treatment plant a year to use that? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but I think it's mid six figures just for the our share, yeah, for the Port Hueneme share of the treatment cost.
The thing I'm most concerned about is that we do put money in, and while it's not our plant, what comes out of that plant affects us. And that's where we have a big say, and I don't think the city has made a big enough, pardon the word, stink about it. But they haven't had the resources, and I don't expect them to be able to, really go after it with their own. And that's why I want to thank Robert, and I try to do what I can with the Port Hueneme News and stuff. We're going to try to bring this out into the open, and at least get some facts and figures for the residents, so we'll know what to do. They'll have a voice. Was it Thursday or Friday, Robert?
Thursday.
Last Thursday, Robert and I went to the New Indy recycling plant down on Perkins Road, and that is right across the street from the Oxnard wastewater plant. And there are odors and smells that come out of both places. The latest one we're trying to figure out that just happened in the last week. There were many conditions that could have caused this, and we're trying to start to monitoring it to see if we can figure out who, what, where, and when. And so we went there and we talked to the three of the major players at the plant. And Robert, give us just a little recap of what we did in that meeting.
We, at Tom's urging, I joined him and we went cold calling on New Indy. And of course, when we went to the office, we were told that the manager was not available, and we don't think he's actually here at the facility. So we started looking on the directory, and we noticed that there was an environmental engineer who was silly enough to answer her telephone. And through her, we managed to get up through the ranks and finally sit down with the manager, who essentially, as we went through the people, assured us that they have nothing to do with any of the smells. They're in compliance. We can check with VAPCD, which is, Ventura County Pollution District, so VCPD. And I had done some research online and discovered that in fact was partially correct. We didn't walk away satisfied. The manager asked us to compile a list of questions that they could respond to in depth. Tom has sent some in. I have not yet, because on my board I have an environmental biochemist and a couple of other people who got more brains than I have in my thumb and the rest of my body that can really nail things down and are going to come up with a list of questions to put forward. The problem what we're finding, especially through Tom's research and gathering of data, is that, number one, any smells that are coming out of that plant, not the wastewater treatment plant, but the paper plant, aren't consistent. And there seems to be a pattern of weekend and evening releases, at least from what we have seen. I've become very well schooled in what the wastewater treatment plant smells like at every stage of the processes.
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me. I drove down last Sunday morning just to see what was going on. The air was very still, and there was a distinct odor that was absolutely nothing to do with the wastewater treatment facility. Now, I can't affirmatively identify that it came from that plant, but I am guessing that it did. My biochemist will be going and taking a look, but in the interim time period, it's big on data whenever you're dealing with this. The foundation sent an offer to New Indy paper plant that we would put in some polysensors that would actually measure nitrogen oxide, ammonia flow, and then the other gases that are generated from the plant. It would require putting 4 sensors on the property or adjacent to the property. Offered to make that data available to them on cell phones or any place they'd like it put. To date, I have not gotten a response back, but I feel it's essential that we get monitoring stations in place so at least we can work on the New Indy problem. We already know the Oxford wastewater treatment facility stinks. It does. And the only way it's going to change is when it gets not repaired, but replaced, because the head wall is failing and all the other places that emanate with the smells, they literally are failed systems, either economically or and any other methodology that you would measure it by. But I think that the best thing that we can do is to get New Indy to actually concede to allow us to take the measurements and find out whether or not some of the lung issues that we've been getting with people with runny eyes and stinging and that type of thing, eliminate the possibility that it is them, or confirm it one way or the other. So we'll press that issue and see if we can get that taken care of.
Another thing we're going to try to start, because this has gone on for many years, and we're not sure if it's seasonal or how it occurs, but there's no regular pattern. And we're going to start one of the viewers or people that post on Nextdoor Fort Hueneme has offered to help us put together a database of calls, and we want to set up a calling system to the Ventura County Pollution District and a couple of other agencies, and we want to track all this and have a database so that we'll have a good idea of who, what, where, and when, and maybe down the road we'll be able to have some facts and stuff to go to the right people. I know that Robert is working and has feelers out with the Department of Defense, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Agriculture, because of all the farming here, is really interested in the water safety and conditions of that. And there may be another agency or two that we can talk to. But we just want to let you know that we're really trying to get a hold on this and get some information and find out what's going on so that the public will have an idea and probably hopefully help us. Anything you know or think or come across, post it on Nextdoor Fort Hueneme, and or you can go on Facebook and go at Hueneme News and post it on there. We'll get that and hopefully go through all the different information we've gotten. We've gotten quite a few. I got 75 posts on Nextdoor already, probably another 25 on Fort Hueneme News. So the people are involved. Next to lost dogs and cats, this is a biggie. So thank you guys for really helping, and Robert, thank you for all the work you're doing and what you're going to do. And Rod, I know that you're involved in this now, and hopefully can keep other city officials up to date on what we're trying to do and get any kind of backing we can from you. So thank both of you, and thank you guys for listening. Oh, also at the end of this, we will put up a link where you can go and look at a video of the condition of the wastewater plant in Oxnard, and it will open your eyes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next Citizens Forum.